Welcome back to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Elson, in studio with my brothers from another. This is my more educated side, my Rhodes Scholar. And the doctor is in the house, Rhodes Pierre. Good morning, gentlemen. Well, again, happy Father's Day all out there. I want to remind members as well, today is MAMLEO's general membership meeting. It will be held today from 12 noon in person, also by Zoom. If you haven't, you should be receiving the link for the Zoom if you can't attend in person. Very important topics this morning. I think one that we've been discussing with City Council Ben Weber as relates to the promotional exam. Also want to thank our sponsor, Cora Holbrook from the Money Store. For all your mortgage needs, give Cora a call at area code 508-345-4726. I know we still have on the line. Ben, just want to wrap up. So you were saying Ben Weber, who is a city councilor, also one of the attorneys who was in the several of the lawsuits that the MAMLEO and others had brought against the city as well as the state as it relates to promotions. And, you know, Ben, before you finish, you're saying, I think it was one of the things that jumped out in the Tatum case, which the judge in that case said that this practice of discriminating against this population has been taking place for over 50 years. And when I thought about that, Doug Bradley and others, I've been on the job for 41 years. So my whole time I was there, it was rigged against me, and it continues. And then when you see the city council and the mayor, I should say, and the police commissioner continuing down this road, it should be alarming to all of us. Ben, your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry. For me, we had a hearing with the police department on the budget, and we discussed this, what they were doing around the police exam, and I was surprised, by the commissioner's response about, what they have planned and how they're going to, they've got a 50-year track record of what happens when they give these kinds of exams, and how when they use the list, and every time they get to the scores where you've got officers of color, they just give a new exam. And his response was, well, we're going to have to change the culture around studying, basically, is what he said, which just, to me, it seemed like he had...
And you're being polite. He had an elitist response to it, and very condescending, that somehow everyone had the same opportunities in life that he did, when he talked about his honorary degrees and that he had only taken one exam in his whole career. Speaks volumes to how much he thought these exams benefited, how much they meant, because he'd been in the department. Now he runs the police department, and his civil service rank is sergeant. And yet he's putting so much stock in it, and basically saying that, and he alluded to that officers of color don't apply themselves in the manner that others do. And so
I think just showing up, you're applying yourself.
Yeah.
It just goes against everything that came out of that Tatum case and the Smith case.
Yeah.
And I was shocked from hearing that.
I was not.
But
I was shocked.
That's why I've kind of gone down this road of pushing, for just extending that list for a year. It's still less than I think they gave tests in 2008. The next test was 2014, and then the next list got certified 2021.
Okay.
So it's not outlandish to just use the test and get down to people who scored 89, 88. I think you would ask, what can people do?
Yeah.
Right now, I think reach out to your city councilor. Everyone, has a district councilor. There's 4 city councilors at large. We take note of phone calls, emails. It's very helpful to be able to say, I got 15 emails asking me to stand up for this, when we come to vote on June 26th.
Yeah.
I think people you can email, call the mayor's office. They again, it's important. you need to hear from people in the community. That helps helps me make an argument on the floors. I've heard from people that they're standing up. And the last thing I would say is be involved in your neighborhood association. When representatives from the police department are there, I'm at Eggleston Square Neighborhood Association. We've got a representative from the police department there, and talk to them and let them know you care about diversity in the police department. And that's what I've got for that. It may not be the most satisfying thing on the police exam, but right now it's reaching out to your city councilors and letting them know you want a police department that's going to interact with the community in a way that is helpful and is part of the community and is not sort of
Right.
Right.
No. And I'd say folks be mindful that this is an election cycle, and we have to take advantage of that as well, right? Because politicians understand they count votes, and as you alluded to, Ben, when your constituents are calling down and saying, we want something done, and doing it in numbers that are effective, it has an impact. It may not change the outcome, but it has an impact. They take notice because people will remember if they were ignored. City Councilor Ben Weber, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Our next guests have arrived, but I thank you for getting up early with us. But also, I thank you for your advocacy prior to arriving on the council, and you have not diminished that whatsoever. We are forever grateful. I know I am personally for all the work you, Harold, and all the folks at the law firm did on behalf of MAMLEO and others. This would not have happened without that type of support, and we do have to do our part, and that is by showing up and supporting the work that you continue to do. Again, thank you, sir. Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thank you, Larry, and to you too, and thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. City Councilor Ben Weber, like I said, folks, we've got work to do. But
as he says, make sure your voice is heard. So reach out to your councilman, reach out to your representative, and make sure that you guys let them know this is a very important issue to you.
Exactly.
Having representation in the police force, and the fact that this exam should be valid, and the fact that the last list was accepted for 7 or 8 years, and this one's not even 4 years old, not even 3 years old, and they're trying to diminish it. So, and again, to find out who the key players or the behind the scene players are is something very important to take a note of as well.
All right. So we're going to pivot gears here a little bit. For in studio with us here, it's one of our favorites from KR. That almost sounds like a rap group or something. KR.
KRS-One?
Was that what it was? Yeah. Is that what that gets for you got that from?
No, it didn't.
Well, you know what KRS stands for, right? Knowledge rules supreme. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wish our name was that deep. But
well, he's a very intellectual and soulful brother.
Yeah, KR. Samuel Reiner is here. Back by popular demand from KR Boston Realtors. Good morning, my brother. It's always good to see you. I hope you and the family well, and happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Happy Father's Day to you as well.
I think we have a couple of folks on the line. I'm going to show who we have on the line again, Pastor Hobbs. Sam, this real estate market is almost like speed dating, brother.
You never know what you're going to get.
And it's changing so rapidly. I mean, you were here a little over a month ago, you and Cora in studio, and they were saying the average price for a home in Boston was $900,000. You guys came back a few weeks later, and you guys were doing these workshops around home buyer education workshops. It had jumped up to $950,000.
Right. I mean, Massachusetts, Boston in particular, has been voted like one of the top most expensive places to live.
I saw that recently.
Right. So it is expensive. It's a tough market, but it's a good market to be in. Also,
if you can afford it. If you can afford it. That's the thing is that I'm seeing listings that are smaller than my closet at home in the city of Boston that are over $1 million, and you just shake your head. And they're selling. It's like
right. It's location.
Well, I guess it's better to sleep in your closet than in your car.
Right.
And Pastor Ops, who do we have on the line? I know we have a couple of. Is Cora on the line? Oh, okay. David, are you with us? David, do we have you? Do you know?
David is
Which David?
David?
I think it comes up. I'm not sure, but
it's so
You
good.
know, yeah, because I know there was Cora set this up and I didn't get all that. So, while wait, so
okay, I'm sorry, your name is?
Sam,
All right.
help us out trying to navigate through this real.
The market, yeah. So, I mean, the summer's always going to be the hottest time to buy real estate. The market right now is red hot. But there are ways to get in. You know, Core is really big on using the down payment assistance programs, as well as, you know, what we do a lot is help people go from where they are to where they need to be.
Yeah.
So it might take some time to save up that down payment to get your credit together. Also, I always said, we spoke about that last time, mindset. Make sure you're in the homeowner mindset.
Right.
It's not,
Now, you guys did a fantastic job of putting together some home buyer education, down payment
Right.
assistance, and credit solutions. You've been going around the city
Mhm.
in communities that normally don't get this type of education
Yeah.
and helping folks. One, how's that been received? And
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been enlightening for people to understand the process, because when you've been renting for so long, it's a whole different mindset
Right.
than being a homeowner. Because I remember when I bought my first home and there's something wrong, I'm like, oh, call landlord. Oh, I am the landlord. So
Right. So, you know, everyone's been very receptive to it. It's been exciting. I love it. Like I said, there's some people who never really got a chance to get this information.
Yeah.
So when they get it, they're excited for it. They know they're on the right path to
Yeah.
like generational wealth. And so like the first best investment usually is that first home. So yeah, so it's looking.
easily.
So yeah, so it's looking good. It's been great. It's been
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Yeah, I knew we'd be losing Dr. Bradley soon. And on the line we have Dino. Dino, good morning, sir. And I apologize because I don't have all your information. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to our audience and what you do, sir.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Dino Guadagnino.
Okay.
I run the reverse mortgage program
Okay.
over at the Money Store. I've been in the industry about 21 years now, helping
Okay.
seniors with financial solutions through reverse mortgages.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And so in that process, so folks who, you said reverse mortgages, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because a lot of people aren't unfamiliar with that. And one, how does that work, and who would be eligible for that type of mortgage? Mostly, I would say, people who've been in the home for a while, who are looking at some type of assistance for retirement, or if they wanted to purchase something else. But it's not usually for someone who's just getting into a mortgage or reverse, correct? You've got to already have had built up some equity in the property.
Well, yes, that's correct. So there's got to be equity built into the product, but a reverse mortgage is for someone who's over the age of 62,
Okay.
who owns their home. It's a cash flow product. What it does is it converts some of the equity that they've built up in their home into tax-free cash to use. So a lot of times, the majority of our borrowers have been people who find themselves who want to improve their cash flow situation by utilizing that equity. And the beautiful thing about a reverse mortgage is there's no required monthly principal and interest payments. Yeah, you have to pay your taxes and your insurance, but there's no monthly principal and interest payments. This loan is paid off when a borrower no longer lives at that house. When they pass away, they move, they go to a nursing home. At that time, the loan is settled. But ultimately, the family keeps the home, keeps whatever equity is left over at the end. But in the meantime, that person, that senior, because it's someone 62 years of age or older, gets to live in the house and utilize that equity.
Right.
And one big thing about that, too, is there's a lot of misconceptions about the reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
The title always stays in the name of the borrower. The bank does not own the home. The bank does not take the home. And it's ultimately a cash flow product to help a senior live in their home.
So now, what's the interest rates? Because is it like a hard money lender type of interest rate? I mean, are they comparable to getting a mortgage? Like, why would I choose that over maybe refinancing and pulling cash out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the interest rates right now in the reverse, probably around 7.5, 7.75. But the thing about a reverse mortgage is it's not sensitive towards what that interest rate is because with a regular loan, you're making monthly payments based on that rate.
Okay.
So the interest rate does get tacked onto the loan. It's a negative amortizing loan.
Okay. Go ahead. Finish your thought. No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah. So ultimately, the interest rate doesn't matter on the back end. But when you're in this loan, since you're not making payments each month, that interest rate doesn't really drive the decision making behind a reverse mortgage. So a reverse mortgage, again, there's no monthly principal interest payments. So if you have a senior, and most of my borrowers are over the age of 70, find themselves kind of past their income earning years, or at least the majority of the income earning years, find it hard to make that mortgage payment. So by getting the reverse mortgage and not having to make that monthly payment gives them that cash flow, that financial relief that they're looking for.
And so we have a call online and we're going to grab it. So in that regard, you know, you're not making the payments don't get paid off until you sell the home, but it's almost like you're starting that mortgage all over again because it does get paid off on the back end. But I get your point. I like the idea, like I said, someone who is on a fixed income and they don't have any income, they can't go back to work. I see the need for someone who's kind of stuck and they say, well, I'm going to reap the rewards of all the equity that's been built up in my home. And, you know, I'm not really not saying not interested in leaving anything for my family, but they can figure that out later. I'm going to enjoy it now. So I
yeah, and just one point to that: not only enjoy the equity now, but really use that to live.
Yes,
Make ends meet. I mean, sure, there's bonuses. There's be able to maybe pay for a vacation or take care of a grandchild, do things like that, or help my child with their mortgage with them. But ultimately, with the reverse mortgage, it's just, you know, again, how can it improve cash flow? And that's the discussion that we have. How can it improve cash flow? Most seniors that we've interviewed through this process have said, you know, what we're looking to do is we're looking to eliminate our monthly payment. Because that's ultimately what a mortgage does. A mortgage goes away and you don't have that monthly obligation, which is, you know, as we all know, making ends meet each month. That's the key. And that's what it takes away.
Now, do you have to be living in the home, or could it be a home that you own and you're renting or whatever, or do you have to physically live in the home that you're taking out?
Yeah, so the property needs to be your primary residence, although you can utilize the funds to do a lot of different things, like buy a second home. We see a lot of people do that. They want to buy a retirement opportunity, so they get the reverse mortgage and use the funds for that. But it has to be on your primary residence.
That's been primary. Okay. So Cora from the Money Store has joined us, and then we have some callers. Let's see if we can drive into some of these calls, Dino, if you don't mind. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I lived in Malden for basically almost 27 years. When I moved into my apartment with my wife, it was a 2-bedroom apartment. We rented it for $50. I paid an extra $50 so I could have 2 cars in the parking lot, so $900. After some time, the rent doubled when the building was sold to a new place from $900 to $1,800. Okay, a stretch, but you know, still doable. When the building was sold a third time, just recently, the new landlords informed us that we could stay, but we would have to pay the new rent, which would be $3,200, which is about what a 2-bedroom apartment is going for in Malden. Okay, that's ridiculous, but whatever. But besides that, we'd have to pay 1 month's security, so now we're up to $6,400, and our last month's rent, which brings us now, you know, to almost $9,600. My question is, if you got $9,600 in cash to pay these type of fees, why can't you get a mortgage?
So you're saying that then that's your current situation that you're in, or is this a hypothetical one? Because it
was the current situation. We end up having to move.
Okay, so you've been renting all this time. I guess this is for Sam. I guess it speaks to why you guys were having these workshops. Is that Oh, so you've been renting for how many years?
Longer than my intelligence would allow me to say out loud.
Right. So I say that because this is what we talk about here about building up that equity, right? That
Right.
In that. So Sam, someone like Dan, it's not too late because
It's not too late.
when he's looking at those numbers, you could probably get into a mortgage for less than what this new rent is, right?
You apply some like Cora works on a lot of down payment assistance. You apply that to it, and you're in your first home. Maybe it's not a $600,000 house in Foxborough or $800,000 house in Foxborough, but maybe it is a $300,000 condo. There's
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd want a condo because condos have condo associations, and I tend not to do well with somebody telling me how to live.
Right. So, let's kind of get back on that. Yeah. So, because you're renting, so someone is telling you what to do. So
I understand what you're saying. However, when if I'm buying it to own, I do not want a condo association telling me how many cars I can have.
Right.
How my grass has to look.
So we get that you're very independent. So I guess the thing is that are there programs for people like Dan to help him get into a modest single family home where he controls that?
Correct. Because here's the issue: a condo, you never really truly own anything. Pardon?
That's partially true. But what basically my motto here is get in where you fit in.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you want.
Which is why. Okay, and I get that. But I
get it. Let him finish because we're trying to get them to get you some help, get you out of that situation. So good.
So you want to get in where you fit in. So you have to get on the wave where you can. And that might be that condo. It's not. It's still a smart. Sometimes the affordable housing. So there's a lot of people. Well, I don't want to do affordable housing because then there's a limit on how much I'm gonna sell it for. But you have to understand that is still a better position than renting outright because there's zero equity being built when you're renting versus affordable housing or a condo. So
I have for people that purchase condos and they don't live in them, they actually rent them out.
Right.
And then they. So they're a landlord, but they're benefiting as being a landlord.
Right. So I think that Dan needs to, if he is to really have a conversation with you and Cora,
right,
and looking at what is the best option for him rather than continuing investing in someone else's property.
That's where the education part comes in.
That's
where the exposure comes in.
Right.
Because I have some of my investors. They only buy condos. Right. So it's absolutely a way for saving to get it could be that first step. And that's the realization nowadays. Like, so before the older mindset was like, I want to get a single family in the burbs, and that's how I'm gonna buy my first house.
Right.
That's back when houses were $100,000 out in the burbs. That's not the case anymore.
Right.
So now the new step is that maybe that condo, it might be buying a house with a friend.
Yeah.
We have clients right now who's like, well, instead of I wanted a single family, but if I can buy this 2-family with my friend, now it brings it into my price range.
Corey, you want to say something?
Yeah, to your point about the condo, it's not only is the condo cheaper than a single family, but the tax is also cheaper. And if you combine the the condo fee and the tax, that will just be equivalent to usually the regular insurance and the tax of a single family home. So that it makes sense to buy as a starter home.
Right.
And then later on they can sell it, and then when they have enough equity, buy the single family of their dreams. But that time their income would be higher, they'll be able to afford
and that's true because to Sam's point, I have a relative, she's a senior, and she'd been renting from a friend of hers for a long time. That person passed away. The family sold the house. The new owners came in. She went from $1,200 to something that she could not afford. It was more than doubled, but because they had to acquire it at a larger amount than the woman who had it, who paid $17,000 for it, they could no longer charge her the $1,200. She had to find her a place in a place that she's not happy with now, but she has a roof over her head. And I think sometimes we have to get, like you said, get in where we fit in. And it is because she was so used to having what she liked and what she wanted and what she was used to.
Right.
Now someone else.
Right. As a landlord, we want you to treat the property like it's yours, but it's not yours.
Yeah.
You need to get yours.
And
so
I think because being a full disclosure, I've owned properties for quite some time, is that sometimes tenants feel like you have to include them in the conversation, or why didn't you tell me you were selling? The only thing I have to give you notice if I want to show it. But as far as deciding when and where or to who, that is solely up to the owner.
To the owner, right? So you want to get ownership again. Do not. I would not sleep on the condo ownership, especially because that's affordable. That's bringing it within range. That'll get you in a Randolph, a Stoughton, a Malden.
In Boston, there's a lot of affordable housing units that
Yeah.
starts at $285,000 when it would have been a regular price would have been $450,000.
Right.
So it also depends on the income. Plus, the affordable housing unit plus the down payment assistance.
Right.
That's makes it affordable.
So, Dan, would you be interested in having a conversation with either of these folks, any of these folks on this call?
Absolutely.
Could you?
Absolutely. So, Pastor Hobbs has my information.
Okay.
Please pass it along
Pass
to
it
them.
along. And not just you, but anyone else, because what they've been doing, Dan, has been very effective. Is they've been having these workshops across Boston. I know you're outside of Boston, but I'm sure they could sit down and really educate, because I've learned a lot from them, and I thought I knew quite a bit on the real estate. But these are two of the best, the brightest, and Dino as well on this reverse. I'm getting knowledge on that as well. But folks that I trust, I've been dealing with for quite some time. I know a lot of our members at MAMLEO deal with them. They're the first ones. A lot of them have bought mortgages from them. Sam has shown me properties, and I'm just amazed at the prices today of what things are.
So
if I had to get in today,
in addition to Larry, as Dina had been mentioning about reverse mortgage, you can use it also for purchasing. If you're for anyone above 62, they can purchase using a reverse mortgage, right, Dina?
Absolutely. You were seeing a
Give us
huge
a little bit
uptick. We're seeing a huge uptick in the market with people looking to use the reverse mortgage to buy homes.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I want to be clear about with the reverse for purchase or any reverse loan, the reverse loan is based. The amount of money you get from reverse is based on how old you are, the value of the property. So there's a formula that is used to determine. So if you wanted to buy a house, let's say a $200,000 home with reverse mortgage, and you're 70 years old, we can probably give you about 35 to 40% of the value of that property from a reverse, provided you have the difference to come in with cash.
Right. And
So it is possible, but there is a calculation that we need to do to determine how much the reverse can give you.
Okay.
And is it more the older you are, the more they can get from the reverse mortgage? Is that correct?
That sounds like the list.
Yeah, that's a great question. But yes, absolutely, the older you are. So I can give somebody at 75 a lot more than I can give somebody who's 65.
Got you. So, Dan, before we're going to pass your information along to these folks, and I'm sure Sam and Cora will be in contact with
June
you.
22nd.
Oh, there's another workshop?
At the
June
Manifest
22nd.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. I was just saying, and it's not that I don't want to look at a condo. It's just that the reality of it is, if I'm going to make this leap out of the frying pan, I want to own what I'm buying.
No, and I think
so I can pass.
This is why having this meeting with them, the pros and cons, and then you can make an educated decision. Sometimes we make an emotional decision because of what we're used to and comfortable with, and then.
What I've learned in sales is all decisions to buy are emotional.
Well, no, it is.
It's never logical.
It's like, when you go and look at even a single family home, right? You go into the model and they bring you in there, and now you want your place to look exactly like that. And then when you find out what that really costs, you have to scale back what's realistic and what you can afford.
Right, and the truth of the matter is, if you made that decision 10 years ago, you'll have $75,000 to $100,000 to buy that single family today.
I can't even
so
believe.
it's generational wealth.
Right, my home, how much is appreciated in value in
that's
5
the key right there.
that I've lived there, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm glad I bought when I did, because and then when I did, I thought I'd never recoup where I am, and then I'm way ahead of the game.
Right.
So thank you, Dan. We'll get your information to these folks, and so that they can help you out. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it.
617-282-0685. 617-282-0685 is the calling number. You're listening to At the Round Table with me. We have our real estate, financial, reverse mortgage experts in studio along with us today. If you have any questions or comments, like our previous caller, give us a call.
I have a question.
Okay.
Dino had mentioned the fact that if you're getting the money from the reverse mortgage, it takes away the payment of the mortgage. Does that take away the payment of the taxes for that property as well when you do that?
I think he said you still have to pay the taxes. That's still on you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, you still have the obligations of the home to take care of, such as homeowner association, real estate taxes,
insurance.
and your insurance.
Yep.
Now, there is a way of rolling that into the reverse mortgage. It's called a LISA, life expectancy set aside. It's another calculation. It limits the amount of money you're able to receive, but if somebody doesn't want to make those payments and they want the reverse mortgage to do that for them, there's a way of rolling that in as well.
So Dino, quick question, and this might be silly. Can you get a reverse mortgage if you have a mortgage still on the property? And how does that work if you can?
That's a great question. So what we need to do with the reverse mortgage is pay off any existing liens on the property.
Okay.
So if you have a mortgage right now, and let's just say, for example, you have a $400,000 home, and you've got a $100,000 mortgage right now, and that mortgage payment each month is, let's say, $1,500. You want to eliminate that mortgage payment. What we do is we pay off that first $100,000 mortgage you've got, eliminate that monthly payment, and then whatever left over from the reverse mortgage are funds you're available to receive. So let's say in that situation, let's just say I can give that person $150,000. So we take the 100, pay off the mortgage, and there's $50,000 left over afterwards that they're eligible to receive from the program as well. Maybe they want to put in a line of credit, maybe for a rainy day. Maybe they want the cash up front to pay off credit card debt or other obligations. That's fine.
Right.
So ultimately, we determine how much that pot of money is going to be, and we pay off any existing liens first.
I was going to say, so what I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the property should be free and clear, and that the reverse would be the only lien on the property once everything is done.
So yes, but let me take that extend it out a little bit further. Sometimes we have sometimes townships give grants for, let's say, improvements to the property.
Mm-hmm.
So those small types of grants that we see quite often, actually, we allow them to be subordinated and sit behind the reverse, and we leave them on the property, because a lot of times those obligations, let's say if you live there 10 years after getting that grant, it just goes away. So we don't want to pay it off. We don't want to waste their money.
Right.
So a lot of times those kind of grants we subordinate, but any kind of lien on the property for a mortgage or a home equity loan, we want that free and clear. We want to pay that off.
Okay.
So if you have one right now, we still do the reverse, but we have to pay it off.
Okay, thank you. So, Cora, I want to get to you because, folks, like I was telling Sam before, you guys, things are happening so quickly in the real estate and in the mortgage and Dina was saying it's around 7% on a reverse mortgage. Where are the rates today? And we were expecting these cuts, but it doesn't look like they're coming. And folks were
it's just the market is just dictating what the interest rates are, and it's ranging from. It depends also on the down payment, right? But so if you have a good down payment, like 20%, you can get your rate to about 6.6 up to 7.25%.
Yeah.
And if you can buy down the rate also, and
when you say buy down, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so buying down, there's two kinds of buy downs. One is the permanent buy down, where right at that instant, when you're buying the house and you're getting your mortgage, you can select to pay an origination point, to pay points to buy down your rate permanently. So instead of getting a 6.875, if you want to go down to 6%, it could probably cost like 1.5 or 1.8%, and you have to pay that at closing. Or the other one is a buy down, a temporary buy down, which there's a 3-year buy down, 2-year buy down, and a one year buy down. So this has to be paid by the seller. So the 3-year buy down it lowers your interest rate by 3%. So from 6.8, it can become 3.8%, 875, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's an equivalent. The interest rate for that, the difference, the variance, will be added together throughout the 3 years. So on the 3-year buy down, there's 3% cut on the rate on the first year, then 2% on the second, and 1% on the third. So the difference on the interest rate on all those years will be added together, but it will be the seller you will have to negotiate with the seller to pay that. And the money that will be set aside will be put in escrow, and every year that the loan goes, they take the money out of that to pay the difference in the rate.
Okay.
So that's the temporary buy down. But it's very good because you can use that to qualify for a mortgage. Use the buy down rate. And that's really, a lot of people are doing that, except that sometimes the seller will not agree to do it, but that's why we're up front, or way before you even, when you're still searching for a house and you have a realtor, you have to discuss it with your realtor so that they know that to negotiate with on that one.
Okay. And Sam, if I'm looking today, like the caller was saying that, he's in Malden and things have changed all over. Is there really anywhere in Massachusetts that you would say if someone was trying to get in, right? Because some places, if you've been graduating up, you can trade up. But if you're just trying to get, is there any areas you suggest people might look?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's an income question, right? So depending on your income, where you want to be. But I mean, again, so condos right around the 495 belt. You can get within the 495 belt for like 350.
And what towns would you be like just ballpark, like areas?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great areas. South, if you're going to south of Boston, I think Stoughton is really nice. Randolph.
Is Brockton, those areas still affordable?
Brockton's really as far as affordability, it's gonna be one of the most affordable places you're gonna get south of Boston, close to the city. But then if you're willing to go a little further, Attleboro is decent. Taunton's getting a lot of interest.
Yeah.
People are really looking into.
And to your point, like with the transit, because for the first time in a long time, I took the commuter rail from Foxborough into downtown. So it's more convenient, I guess. If you don't have to, if you have to come back this way, that makes it more attractive because there is transportation lanes for you to get back into the city if you need to.
You want to look along the commuter rail. That's going to be great. If you go out west, Worcester's still so great. Framingham. So you're looking in these bigger towns that have like a larger selection of these condo buildings already built up. North of Boston, Malden's still great. Everett's great. Saugus. A lot of interest of Salem. Salem now is like on fire. So
not because of the witches.
for different reasons. Different fire though. But
See, I always thought Salem to be a little bit more pricey because it's not a lot. It's close to the water.
It's hard getting in and out of there, but that's for sure. But,
there's a university there too.
Yes, one of my family members attended Salem State.
That's why it's a very attractive state.
And it's not that far.
And the commuter rail.
And the commuter rail.
Okay, so we have to get to
Lynn, Methuen. Those are areas that are nice.
Those will always tend to drive the prices up. Access to public transportation.
Right. So you have to be kind of like the caller that called in. You kind of have to be flexible. You're understanding. You can't try to buy a house today with the mindset of 10, 20 years ago. Things are going to change. But the same thing, you make the decision now, you make the adjustments now, 10 years from now, you're going to be thinking
and to that point, because a lot of people, and I like what you said earlier, is that, someone else is making the decision for you. And that's the case because a lot of people that were renting are now having to relocate, not because they want to, it's because someone else had made a decision about their property. Like I said, the landlord wants you to take care of it like it's your own, but it's never going to be your own. And all that you've invested, there's no return on your investment.
It's not an investment.
No.
Renting is never an investment.
So, Dino, I have a question for you. Is there a difference? I'm sure there is, because some people say, well, why would I do a reverse mortgage rather than taking out an equity loan in my property? What's the benefit, the pros and the cons of going with a reverse mortgage rather than an equity line?
Yeah. So, and it's a great question. It's timely because I'm actually working with a borrower right now who had the exact conversation with me about 3 weeks ago. So what is the difference? Well, the difference is this. My borrower, she's in her mid-70s. Her income is fixed. She doesn't necessarily have the ability to take on more debt, but her income, and we all know it's current economy with inflation and gas prices being where they are, it's harder and harder to make ends meet on a fixed income. So why would she go reverse as opposed to an equity? Because with an equity, as she's utilizing that line of credit, if she even qualifies for it, she has a monthly payment. So each month there's going to be another payment she has to make, and she's always chasing that. With the reverse mortgage, we're going to give her the income and the ability to have that access to improved cash flow without that monthly payment. So that's a situation where it's just a matter of monthly obligations. She wants the money, but without being able to make that payment. So we're going to give her the reverse. Plus, the qualifications for a reverse mortgage are a lot less stringent than those for a traditional mortgage. So CORE may find someone, for example, that wants to do some sort of financing, but just to me doesn't meet the right ratios.
Yeah.
But they are age qualified for a reverse.
So
they'll get the reverse mortgage without having that monthly obligation.
Right, that's a great point you make there. So I guess my follow-up to that would be then, if when would I have to start paying back on the reverse? Like, I'm sure, like you said, you don't have to pay that. The equity you have to start paying the next month, shortly after you get it. On the reverse, when does that have to start being paid back? Is there a time frame of like 5 years and you have to start paying, or is it once you're no longer here and then the house is, or is it when the property is sold?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one of the questions that we get asked quite often. So with the reverse mortgage, you do not make any payments. You're not required to make any payments, and nobody ever does, until the property is no longer your property. So, for example, let's just say, Grandma and Grandpa get a reverse mortgage. They're 70 years old. They live in the property until they're 95, and then they pass away. Well, at that time is when the first payment is required for a reverse mortgage.
Okay.
When you no longer live in the property is when the reverse mortgage needs to be paid back.
Yeah.
And how much you pay back is always dependent upon how you've used the funds plus the interest on it. So there was never a set amount of saying how much somebody owes at that time. It depends how they utilize the reverse mortgage throughout the years. But at that time is when that payment is done. So let me give you another example. Let's say, for example, I give someone a reverse mortgage. They're in a real financial hardship situation. They utilize all the funds in the first 2 years. Now I can't give them any more money from that reverse mortgage. But again, they don't make payments. They just don't get any more money in that particular situation. But even though they've utilized all the funds, they're still not required to make a payment until they no longer live at that property.
Right, but the interest is accumulating over that time period as well. So so it sounds like by the time, the longer you go, the less equity would be fair to say that the original owner would have in the property, more towards the reverse mortgage and paying that off than any real.
Very fair to say.
Yeah,
and there's something that comes up a lot. I just like to kind of touch upon it. If you don't mind, I'll take I think a minute here. The program is structured in such a way that we give you a percentage of the home's value, but the program is structured in such a way that there should be equity left over at the end for your heirs. Okay? So two situations could happen when reverse mortgage comes to an end. Two things are going to happen. Either there's equity left over in the property, or you owe more than the property's worth. So if there's equity left over at the end, then the estate, the family gets that equity. They get all of it, what's left over from what they owe. But if you owe more with a reverse mortgage than the property's worth, there's a built-in insurance policy in all reverse mortgages that say if you ever owe more, you do not have to go into your pocket for that. The insurance policy will cover it no matter what assets the estate has. So it's impossible to pass debt on to your estate or your heirs by utilizing a reverse mortgage if the property is less than what is owed.
Well, I think there's a lot of confusion people don't know, and that's why I'm glad you're on this morning explaining some of that, because a lot of people would see the guy from Magnum PI on the commercial all the time with reverse mortgages, and it's like 30 seconds. So getting this much information in this span of time, and we definitely going to have you come back. So speaking of that, Sam and Chloe, you guys have another workshop coming up?
Yes, on June 22nd at the Mattapan Library.
And
1 to 4 in the afternoon.
And then we also have a virtual option at 6
to 8.
6 to 8.
6
on
p.m.?
the same.
Yeah.
Oh, you
On
guys
that
are working late.
Yeah, because if some people can't make it because they're working on Saturday sometimes, like the car dealers, those who work in the car dealerships, they don't have time.
I'm
So
glad
they
to see
can
car
stay.
dealerships getting taken.
No, they're hardworking people, and a lot of people have their shifts on the weekends. So, so we try to, again, we want to get this information out, and so we have the in-person that's going to be at the Mattapan Library, and then we have the virtual option that if you guys just reach out, we'll send you guys the link. for on the 22nd at from 6 to 8.
Next Saturday.
And
Next
there's
Saturday.
no cost for this. This is
No,
free.
all
it's free.
free. All free.
And we provide refreshments.
I know, and you always do well. Like I said, whenever we have Dr. Bradley disappears. Sam, anything we didn't cover, and I'm going to let you cover as well, that you feel folks should be knowing about and what they can expect in these workshops as well?
Right. So just to touch on the reverse mortgage option, I think it's a really good thing. This is one of those things that we cover. We plan to cover in our workshop, so that it's an option for people to have access to the equity in their homes without having to move out. And it is, since it's an age-based product, that that's like, I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, why would someone give me money to live in my own house? It's age based, and so that's they want you to stay in your home.
No, and it kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? Is that the only way for someone to cash out in other ways would be to sell the house, and then they get hit with the capital gains and all of that. So this, when you really think about it, this person gets to enjoy and reap the benefits of all of the investments and the time and all that, and to continue to live in the home.
Right.
But it almost sounds too good to be true. So I think that's the skepticism.
And Larry, without a mortgage, the quality of life of the senior improves, right? Because now they can afford to travel, use that money instead of paying the mortgage.
Right.
And another thing is that
And enjoy.
People should think about it. Doesn't have to be a single family. It could be up to 4 units.
Oh wow, I didn't know. I thought it would just have to be single.
And it could be if you have a multi-family up to 4 units, you can use that product. I know there's I have a lot of clients who same thing. They're interested in it. They want to learn more about it, and that's always.
So before we go back to Dino, because we're running. How is you said when you meant that made me think about commercial real estate? I know you deal in that as well. How is that going? Because it seems like people with the remote work environment today, people aren't in as much. Is there should folks be looking at investing in commercial real estate, or is it kind of
right? Again, so commercial, I think it's like this. Well, it's one of the holy grails of investing, mainly because you have a business tenant. A lot of the times, a business tenant is more likely to pay even before their own mortgage, because the business is what pays the mortgage. So it is one of the best places to be. Also, if you get
and it's easier to evict a tenant.
Exactly. B2B, business to business is easier to deal with versus business to resident, especially here in Massachusetts. We got some of the best laws to protect tenants, which is great for tenants, but not that good for investors. So if you want to be on the investment side, commercial is definitely the way to go. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of these secondary markets. They're building more condo, townhouse, multi-use spaces where it's residential up top, commercial on the bottom. That's continuing to expand, and so basically they're making it's more like micro hubs around the main city, and even a lot of the companies in Boston are moving kind of out towards the 95, the 495 belt, because the prices are much better, commercial wise as well.
Rose has a question.
No, I definitely.
So what time is their breakfast?
No, I definitely had the idea of owning real estate. Like, as an individual, would you recommend that someone just goes in there and own it, or would you think that it's better to become an LLC or something like in that nature to own the property? What would you say?
So the LLC provides asset protection. I recommend, if it's an investment property, to put it in an LLC, but that's not my specialty. We'll leave that to the attorneys. But I do recommend protecting your assets. Having your assets in your name is probably not the best thing to in case.
Come to the workshop on Saturday, June 22nd, 1 to 4, and you will hear from an attorney on legal aspects.
Right.
So,
and one more thing that I would like to add about the workshop, we will be teaching about the down payment assistance. There are several down payment assistance. First of all, the city gives up to $50,000, and we are accredited by the city of Boston. And then the mass housing, the state program, they have up to $30,000 with 0% interest, no monthly payment. And then if you don't qualify because of the income, if you're over qualifying on the income, because there's an income limit on that 0%, obviously. There's also another down payment assistance with 2%. Nobody can beat that. Up to $25,000, 2%, and anywhere around Massachusetts you can get that.
So wait a second.
And then there's one more, the FHA arrive. We call it the arrive. They can get a 3.5% down payment assistance with no payment. No, it's forgivable. And then there's also the 5% down payment assistance, but that has a repayment. So they're various terms. So come to the workshop on June 22nd, and we'll tell you more about it.
So you're telling me there's over $100,000 possibly available for down payment assistance through 5 different programs or 6?
Oh no, you can only take one.
Okay.
One at a time.
So,
One at a
Cora,
time.
I'm going to ask you to put on your crystal ball and predict interest rates. Do we see them
Right now,
staying
it's,
where they are, or do
yeah.
we see
At
them?
the moment, that's since January, it's been flat.
Okay.
There was some,
Expectation that
yeah,
they would go
but
down.
but I don't think it's happening.
Is that affecting the market, Sam?
I would say my circle, the people in my circle, they actually predict that it's going to go down. Mainly has to do with the presidency,
The election.
Right?
Oh,
Election.
okay.
It should have happened already if it's
it'll be-
going to happen. But
It'll be
maybe.
good for the current office to make that happen before
November.
Before November,
Yeah.
they'll get a lot of good praise. So, from what we're seeing, we actually do believe that it will happen.
Dino, final quick question for you. So we definitely have to get you back. If there are 2 people on the because you said the age is 62. If there are 2 people on the D, let's say I bought with one of my as a parent, and I bought a home and we're close to a sibling, would that still qualify if the other person was under the age of the 62?
Yeah, so Larry, thank you again for having me, and I would love to be able to talk more about this because there's a lot of details. But to answer your question, the reverse mortgage is based on the age of the younger of the 2 borrowers. So, for example, if mom's 70 and dad's 63, then we would base the mortgage on a 73-year-old.
Okay.
But if a borrower is under the age of 62, we can still do it.
Oh, okay.
We'll use their age in that calculation. So if one person is 65 and the other one's 55, not a problem. We'll just use the 55-year-old's age into how much money they can get from the reverse mortgage. And remember, the older you are, the more money you get. So a 55-year-old on a reverse mortgage won't get as much as someone who's in their 60s.
Okay. And Dino, would you mind giving out your contact information if you don't mind, how folks can reach you?
Sure. So my email is pretty simple.
Pretty simple. That's
Dino,
a good one.
Dinog at themoneystore.com, or you can call me direct. My direct number is 973-727-2412. Again, my name is Dino. I've been doing reverse mortgages for 21 years, and I'm with the Money Store, who is a real interested player in helping seniors in the reverse market.
All right. And Cora?
Dino is more good looking than Magnum PI.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. That's why he call himself simply. And Cora, your contact information, we give it all the time.
Yes, Cora Holbrook. I'm in downtown Boston. 508-345-4726. My email is cora.holbrook, like the town, at themoneystore.com.
The Money Store is it.
Right.
The money is in here. I like that.
Yep, and it's just Sam Reimer. KR One Boston. KR Boston. You can call me at 617-775-3074. And again, back to, this is my team. So anyway, if you want to get to me, anyone that you contact here.
And again, reminder of the workshop.
Yep. So the workshop's going to be next weekend, actually, on June 22nd, and from
One
Mattapan
to
Library,
4.
1 to 4,
1 to 4,
and 6 to 8.
And 6 to 8.
Right.
At the Mattapan Library.
All right. So, Dino, I don't want to butcher your name. Just your last name again, sir. I'm sorry. I apologize.
My last name is Guadagnino.
Oh, see, that's why I didn't say it.
Can you spell that? Can you spell that, please?
This is
What's
not
that?
Wheel of Fortune.
Spell it.
I'll spell it for you, but
yes.
you're never going to remember.
Exactly.
Just for the listeners.
Guadagnino.
All right.
All right.
He wants to know if he can buy a vowel. Gino, my friend, that's how I'm going to call your last name. Cora Holbrook from the Money Store.
Sam Reimer.
KR1. I keep this is going to be in my head. I'm going to be saying it. KR Boston. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for this very informative conversation this morning. Like I said, I'm glad we're making this kind of a monthly segment. People really look forward to it when we have people calling in. You guys were able, like I said, Dan Walker's a frequent caller. He's one of the hosts on the show. If you guys can help him, we have a Nobel Prize waiting for you.
We'd be very happy to.
Remember, just get in where you fit in.
Exactly.
Just get on the wave.
Again, before we go, I want to remind the MAMLEO membership that today's general membership meeting take place today in person at 61 Columbia Road at noon, also by Zoom. And like I said, it's going to be hot this weekend, folks, so pace yourself as well. And for all the dads out there, you don't have to be a biological dad.
Yeah.
We want to say a happy Father's Day. See, Cora's eyes look, she says, yeah, it's Father's Day. I know it doesn't get as much attention, doesn't get as much fanfare.
Happy Father's Day, Larry. Happy Father's Day,
Thank you
Dino,
so much.
Rhodes, and Sam.
Thank you.
And
Pastor
Hobbs.
Pastor Hobbs.
Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Yeah, thank you all. You've been listening to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. God willing, and with the help of the Money Store, we'll be back next Saturday morning from 7 to 10 a.m. All right. Until then,
Thank you.
Be safe. Take care. Thank you, Dino. Thank you, Cora. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you. Thank you,
The
Rose.
pleasure is ours.
Yes, thank
you
you.
for
All
having
right.
us.
Yes.